Kendo Podcast episode 133. In this episode, I want to talk about studying multiple martial arts and multiple Kamae in Kendo. Kendo Podcast by Hiro Mafuji from KendoGuide.com. Thank you for listening. This podcast is about Japanese martial arts Kendo for Kendo lovers and supported by Kendo enthusiasts through Patreon.com. Thank you for your support, guys. Please visit KendoGuide.com for more Kendo information and how to support KendoGuide.com. Welcome to Kendo Podcast episode 133. This is live and Kendo Podcast 一本勝負. And I want to answer some questions from Eric. Eric is a member at Patreon.com and he has this question. Now, he studies multiple martial arts. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there learning not only Kendo, but also like Ju-Kendo, Tankendo, Taijutsu. Eric studies those. And some people do EI. And it sound like, Kendo and EI are related. They are related. And some people study Aikido and Kendo, maybe Judo and Kendo. Now, there are, I think nothing is wrong with it at all. The reason is, why not? Kendo is derived from samurai combat system and Judo as well, Aikido as well. All kind of, they share same origin, right? And there are a lot of similarities. And of course, there are differences. Now, let me talk about Eric's case. He studies Ju-Kendo and Tankendo, right? And of course, and Taijutsu. Taijutsu is, if you're not familiar with Taijutsu, basically it's similar to Judo, Jujutsu, and all kinds of the Aikido. So basically it's hand-to-hand combat. Okay, maybe there are some other stuff they practice weapons as well, but as far as I know, I don't have very deep knowledge of Taijutsu, but basically that's what they do, right? It's like so hand-to-hand combat. Now, if you look at it, maybe Tankendo and Ju-Kendo. Ju-Kendo is, what do you call it in English? I forgot. I'm sorry, barrette or something like that. So Ju-Kendo is, you have a rifle and with a knife, or what do you call it? Yeah, knife at the end of the rifle. And then Tankendo is kind of, if you lose a rifle, you use this knife at the end, I think. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. So, anyway, those are like, so basically, they are totally different. Kendo is very different from those martial arts in a way that Kendo has developed its own style. So I'm sure Tankendo is probably a little bit different from real combat back in old days, maybe, or Ju-Kendo as well. I'm not too sure. But can you use Tankendo movement, Ju-Kendo movement in Kendo? Maybe. Like I said, there are similarities as well. So you can use those movements. If you think about it, if you back in not old days, but in the past, I introduced some videos to the members. Watch this because against Nito, Toda Sensei's Nito, this sensei did hustle, or this sensei executed tsuki, like Soetezuki from Iaido. Now, in Kendo Shiai match regulations, you cannot touch your sword. Okay. But that was tachiai. That wasn't a shiai. Tachiai, which means, like demonstration. So he was doing that. Now, is it kendo? So we have to define kendo as well there, and then we have always we have arguments. That's not real kendo. That's not real kendo. This is real kendo. Well, what's real kendo? So that is the core argument. What is real kendo? So kendo used to have foot sweeps, throws. You're going to pin your opponent down. Now, some dojo do that, but they don't. I don't think they are officially teaching these techniques anymore. So kendo, the old understand, everyone understands kendo is a budo, okay, martial arts using bamboo stick and then we treat it like real sword. And based on the way we use the real sword, we treat shinai like real sword. And then we strike each other based on what is appropriate if we were using the real sword. Okay, that's the basic idea of kendo, right? Now, of course, there are some differences, like iaido and kendo. They were together before, but they separated already. And iaido is, they do forms, how to use sword, the way of drawing sword, right? And kendo, we don't do that anymore. Movements are completely different. In iaido, you cut down. Kendo, we cut forward, right? You go, man. Now, can we use the sword like that? We can cut things like that, but if you look at both things, they are completely different. They involve completely different moves. Yet, the principle are pretty much the same, right? So how you move, how the movements are different, but the idea as discipline is same. So if we talk about movements, the big question is, can you separate those two movements, like tankendo, for example? Can you separate this tankendo movements from kendo movements? Because a lot of people said that's not how we move in kendo, right? So iaido as well. The main problem that kendo people have when they started iaido, right? When they start iaido is footwork, stance. Kendo people tend to take a step forward. As they cut, they move left foot forward. Now that is so correct in kendo, but we don't do that in iaido. When you go to draw out your sword and then go, all right, take a step forward onto the right foot, and you finish the cut there. Back foot doesn't move forward. Now, why? Because the purpose is different, right? So if you differentiate those two, this is how we do it in iaido, this is how we do it in tankendo, this is how we do in jukendo, or this is what we do in taijutsu, right? And then this is kendo, right? This is what we do in kendo. So if you can separate those two, and then just look at similarities, and it's interchangeable. I'm sure they're interchangeable. Maybe not. I don't know. But to me, I don't. So benefit is you can kind of see martial arts, different martial arts, okay, in different perspectives, and disadvantages, you kind of tend to get confused. So Kendo should be more free, if you know what I mean. But you can do ayumiashi, you can do tsugiyashi and everything. You can do side movements. But, it's very hard to do. So if you really, how you look at it is very important, I think. Modern Kendo is like back and forth, how fast you can strike. But if you enjoy side movements, when you get older, you can't move faster anymore, so you involve side movements. If you kind of start looking at it like that, you can use taijutsu movement there. I'm not talking about grabbing people's head and then pin down. I do that in training, Kendo training. Of course, not hard, right? Just when they get in Sudazeri and they stay there too long, not doing anything, and I just grab their head and pin them down. Now, that's an old style Kendo training. I'm not doing it to hurt them. I'm just doing it so I can tell them, okay, don't stay there too long, okay? But right or wrong, maybe you think, oh, that's not Kendo, but that's how I was trained when I was a kid. So to me, that was a part of practice. So I don't do that much anymore because, most of my students are adults. I do that sometimes when they forget about, it's just a little bit of brutal taste. You don't forget that if you stay there too long, people can grab you. Now, in Kendo rules, regulations, you're not allowed to do that. So I don't do that in Shiai. Well, I don't do that to anyone else. I do that to my students, right? So, but I don't teach them to do that. And I tell them not to do it to other people when Shiai. So it depends on how you deliver the contents, right? I mean, how you teach them and how you see. So taijutsu movement, you can use it, like, oh, how can I use this in Kendo? So you can think like that. Now, the fun part is, when I was in Japan in 2018, August, so this, as of now, this August, I went to Japan. I met this guy, Baptiste. I think that's his name. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry, man. You can punch me in my face when I see you next. He does Tankendo. And he is all Japanese TV all the time, so I'm sure I can tell and I can say his name on the public. So I had fun. He grabbed his arm and he goes, it's like kata number 8, 9, 10. Kodachi kata. He get close and grab his. He literally arm lock you. And then go, stab you, like that, and go, and maybe chest or throat, and I don't know where he was aiming at, but going, whoa, wow, that's cool, So now it's not Kendo, obviously, but it's Tankendo, and that's what we do with the Kodachi, right? We get close, and then because that's what we do with the short sword, we get close before they cut us, right? And we do. What do you call it? Ukenagashi, suriyage, surikomi, and stuff like that. He does that. That's so fun, right? And then, because of my shoulder problem, I took Nito against him. And, how can I fight, with Tankendo with Nito? And then I forgot my Nito Shinai, so I was using heavier Shinai. So when so that couldn't really strike with a good speed with one hand, but when he is far, when he comes in close, I can strike with a daito, right? But if he gets too close, it's too late. So what I did was I blocked him with the daito hand, and I stabbed him with the shoto. Now, we never fight unless Ishujiai, different martial arts like Naginata versus Kendo, we call it Ishujiai, different types of martial arts, combat, right? Combat fight. So it's like Tankendo against Kendo, especially Nito, right? And, in Kendo, with the strikes and stabbing with the kodachi, unless it's really good, and then we have to use daito. You're gonna you're gonna suppress your opponent's movement with daito, and then use shoto, and then possibly that strike can be a valid cut. Okay, but usually that doesn't happen. But I don't know if in Shiai, official Shiai, can I use that against Tankendo? I don't know if Bon or not, but well, it was between me and Baptiste. So when he goes, oh man, that was, you got me. And then I got him. And when he goes, oh, like that, I go, oh man, you got me. And then he got me, right? So that's between me and him. So that was really good fun. Now, if we kind of had a kind of agreement, maybe we could go, kumiuchi. Kumiuchi is kind of, wrestling. We don't punch like that, but, we just go like in judo throw kind of thing. Maybe we could do that, but, we didn't do it, of course, because we didn't have an agreement. So it depends on what you are doing. And then I'm not here to say, what is Kendo and that's what, what you used to be doing this, or you should be allowed to do it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, it's a good fun to do it. And if we have certain agreement, if we both know what we are doing, that is the rule between us, right? So I think that was good fun. And then you have to use your brain. So how to fight against different type of martial arts. Now, again, is it good or bad? That's a different argument. I purely enjoyed that, and I like doing things like that. So that was an eye opener, So because we do kodachi and kata, and I saw how you use it for like Kendo versus Tankendo, right? That was so cool, man. So like by just experiencing that was great. So now I don't see any problems learning different martial arts at the same time. Like I said, disadvantages, you just confuse those movements, and until you get used to separate those movements, and then you should have no problems. And then of course, you can use this movement to this martial arts, this movement to this martial arts. I can see that you can do it. Okay, so I don't see any problems with that. So another question is multiple kamae in Kendo. Now Kendo we have chudan no kamae mainly, okay, and jodan no kamae, that's commonly used. Now nito, two swords. Now two swords has migi nito and hidari nito. And what that means is migi nito is daito, longer sword on your right hand, and this is jodan in nito. The chudan is nito like this, right? Two hands in front of you, but once you have your daito, longer sword, above your head, that's considered as jodan. Now, right hand jodan, nito, hidari is of course left hand is above your head. So nito has two stances. And chudan, jodan, nito, and we don't use gedan much. The reason is gedan is against, if you have a sune, shin guard, probably against naginata, we probably use gedan, right? But in Kendo, modern Kendo, because no one's going to strike your sune in Kendo, so it's not much use there. You can if you want, but you're kind of vulnerable here, and you have to strike from here. You have to come up, so it takes longer. So it doesn't mean you shouldn't be using it, right? No regulations on that, so you can if you want. Now, main one is Chudan, Jodan, Nito. I don't say main, commonly used, commonly seen nowadays. And Hasso, sometimes that people take it against Nito or something. Like I said, at Kyoto Taikai in Japan, some people take Hasso against maybe Jordan or Nito or something like that. Against Jordan, sometimes it's very rare. Nito as well. But, what I mean is you can use it if you want, right? Wakigama is totally out of question because you're always, here, right? You're showing your men ski and you have to go like that to strike. So it's not very useful, effective in modern Kendo. So now Nito, I really think now in old days, traditionally, you should learn Chudan thoroughly, okay, to be able to take Jodan. Jodan is considered as advanced technique, right? And then Nito as well. Now, people always say Chudan first. That's the basic. So as long as you learn Chudan correctly, you should be able to do Jodan. Not be able to. You should be able to learn Jodan easily. Basically the same, right? Here or here. And then body movement is a bit different. So you have to relearn something. But as long as you have base, foundation of Kendo movements, which you learn when you're in Chuda, you just have to adjust something. Nito as well. Basically, it's the same. Body movement. Now, how to strike is a bit different because you're one hand, right? And this has two swords. So you have to use both, two swords at the same time. But once you know what to do with them, it shouldn't be a problem. Now, personal opinion, totally, and I still think Chudan, if you learn Chudan properly, you shouldn't be. What I mean is, you gotta learn something properly so you can move, you can try something different easily. If you learn Jordan properly, you should be able to learn Chudan quite easily. And then it's a personal preference, isn't it? Like, I feel good in Chudan. I feel good in Jordan. I feel good in Nito. And probably sometimes, oh man, I don't feel good in Chudan today. What about Jordan today? I don't know if it's right attitude or not, but you have choices. So I think you should be able to make those choices at different days because, in old days, when I watched old videos, fighting Chudan, and they take Jordan, the same person, the same shiai, right? And sometimes they switch their hands, right, from here, and they switch hands in Chudan and they take this Jordan. Now, these people were senseis, great senseis. Now, can we do it? There's a big question in there. They're great sensei, 8th dan, 9th dan sensei doing that. Does it mean, can we do it? Okay, big question there. Now, they were doing Kendo for a long, long time, right? Until get to that 8th dan level, maybe 50 years. Now, do we have, if you just started Kendo like, let's say 10 years ago, in your 30s, now you're 40s, do you have 40 more years to do Kendo? Maybe. But by the time you get, to that level, you can't enjoy it, right? So, personally, I think we should try a lot of different Kamae, but I don't think it's a good idea to just doing that, for fun, because you have to learn movements properly so you can do some other stuff as well. If you just do it like my personal motto or the core belief is when you do something, probably you should do it properly. So I want to teach things properly so they can do it properly. So that's because, and then if you do things properly, you can improve faster later. If you cheat and at the early stage, you can probably get better at a certain point, but and then they stop improving. And if you do it properly, and if you know how the proper process of improving, they won't quit. You won't quit. But if you just improve really quickly, and you don't know how to deal with the complicated process, or you call it slump, you can't improve for a long time, and can you handle it? Maybe you can, or maybe not. I don't really know. But the important thing is for you to remember is you do things properly so you can switch to different stances if it's necessary. Like if you take Nito, right? You should be able to switch. In my personal opinion, you should be able to switch like that. Now, if you take Chudan, for example, now there's no regulation says left hand forward and right foot back. Okay, there's no regulation says you shouldn't be doing that. Now, I personally say I think you have to carry your sword in your left hand because culturally and historically that's how the samurai used to carry their sword. It's like because of the little reason. Okay, and I'm not going to talk about it now, but carry your sword there, right? And then you draw out your sword. Now, once you draw out your sword, it doesn't really matter, does it? You just switch your hand if you want. Now, I have some samurai books, novel. In those books says apparently if you just go draw out your sword and switch your hand like that, that was considered as cheating. All right, because it's not supposed to do. You are not supposed to do that. You are supposed to have your right hand forward. Okay, so does it matter if you're good at this and then you're just about to fight for your life? It doesn't really matter, does it? So, I don't think so. That comes down to what is Kendo. What if Kendo is just is to discipline our human character through the application of the principles of the katana. Now, doesn't matter left hand forward. And once a lot of people say different things, so I think let's talk about practice purpose. Okay, let's not talk about Shiai regulations because Shiai is different because we need to come up with regulations there so they can have fair match, right? Keiko, on the other hand, like I said, some people use shoto. Why not? It's keiko. We have kata, right? Some people do nito, right? Why not? Switch. Why not? If they can switch like that, if they have right nito, if they have left nito, why don't we have left-handed? We say left-handed kendo, but left hand forward, right hand bottom. Why not? Some senses change their grip. From there, joda, and go from there. They switch your hand like that. Why can't we do that? Once you draw out, you carry your sword, this one on the left side, okay, because that's how we decided to do it, so we don't have any confusing situation. That was back in old days, so we decided to do that. All right, so I carry my sword on the left side, right? But once I draw out my sword, it doesn't matter. You can use your sword with right hand, boom, like that, right? Or left hand, you switch your hand, boom, and then you can draw out the shoto maybe, So if you think about those things, practice purpose, keiko. In keiko, my Kendo sensei started using naginata for some reason. I don't know why. That was Murayama sensei. The late Murayama sensei started picking up the naginata and then start fighting with naginata. I don't know. I don't know why he started doing that, but he did that. So keiko, I mean, it's like, if you have something in your head, what about, I practice like this. So I do that sometimes so I can feel like, I want to see how I want to feel how beginners feels. And then I want to feel like, how can I teach beginners what to do? So if I switch my left and right hand, it's not the same. It's really weird, right? I'm sure that's how beginners feel. So I can come up with something. If I can do this better, what exercise is good for me to do it if I do this or something like that. So for practice purpose, I think you should be able to choose what stance you take, jodan or nito, or switch your hands. So that's to train yourself and try to see kendo with different angles, and just that's the pure interest and pure feelings of I want to improve kendo, what I can do in this kendo situation, nito, chudan, jodan, switch your hands, what I can do, and then we're going to practice chudan. So you got to do things properly. A lot of senses says you got to take chudan as well. Nito, nito, I'm going to practice nito, but I also practice chudan as well. Some senses practice jodan as well. So if you take multiple kamae, I think it's great, but you got to do it properly so you can switch to other stuff. You don't want to just learn. The jodan is like this, and then you don't want to learn anything from scratch again, right? So it's all kendo. So base is same. So if you switch your feet left foot forward, it should be the same, right? But it's awkward. So you can relearn how to do it based on the basic you learned, which is right foot forward. Okay? So you can do that because you have already experienced. You have already experienced how to build your foundation of kendo. So I think that's how you should start. And then I have no... if my students want to learn jodan, they can learn, but it's really hard to strike with one hand, right? So you have to learn you have to learn how to strike with one hand first, and then with balance and everything. So I will always recommend them once they need to. The other funny story. I'm going to finish my this Ippon Shogu podcast Ippon Shogu soon. Some people, chudan, they're good, but jodan, some people are really strong, right? I mean, what dan are you? For jodan, it looks like fourth dan or fifth dan, but chudan, they look like shodan. I know some guy like that. So they're really. I mean, it really depends on. What you're good at. So you go for what you're good at, I think, and then you move on to the next one, I think. So it's very important. I should say, like I don't want to mess up everyone's, if you have sensei, listen to your sensei. Don't listen to me. Your sensei is your sensei, so you got to listen to him, not me. But my thoughts, if my students ask me, oh, can I take Jordan? Well, have a go. And I have a good sometimes sensei taking Jordan, yeah. So just learn from him, not me. We have the expert there. So I'm gonna send them to that sensei, So, and then if you're gonna be good at Jordan or not, that's up to you, right? So I think it's always good things about it, bad things about it. So if you see that, you gotta see Jordan. If I learn Jordan, probably you can from Jordan you can do 100 men like that. So you can have you can have varieties in Kendo if you learn things like that. So I think it's a good idea. But if you really want to do Kendo, I think the foundation of Kendo basics is always Nichuda. And then if you can have foundation, if you have good foundation, you can just go, try a lot of things and then decide what you are good at. What you're good at meaning is not like I can win, maybe, I can win Shiai, but if you're good at, I feel good. Like when I take Nito, because my shoulder hurts. If it hurts, I can't take Chuda because I can't do. If I do that, all the time, my right shoulder just not good. So when I feel good, I can take Nito. And when I take Nito, I feel like I have kind of my energy flow goes really well, so I can kind of focus well. When I take Chudan, I don't know because it hurts, or I feel different. So unless you test exam, you don't know what stance fits you. You see, so I think it's a good idea to explore in Kendo, of course, with permission from your teacher. All right, so I hope this video helps you, if you do multiple martial arts or if you want to practice multiple Kamae in Kendo. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to kendoguy.com newsletter and YouTube channel. And if you are a Facebook guy, you can come to Facebook fan page of kendoguy.com. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next podcast. I would like to send special thanks to patrons for their constant support through patreons.com/Kendo For Life.